All right, hey everyone. Topic of this video is going to be on the common housefly and why I think that they need to be exterminated. Obviously, we're going to get into, um, you know, trying to like find healthy substitutes for obviously the predators. That eat them, to survive and everything. We're basically going to be going over um, why why flies are can infiltrate a house, infiltrate into your house so easily and everything, but they can't for the life of them make their way out. We're going to get into that and everything. We're going to get into and a bunch of other things. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's be honest. There is no creature on this planet that fills a human being with more irrational rage, ounce for ounce, than the common housefly. It's not a mosquito, so it doesn't give you malaria. It's not a wasp, so it doesn't sting you. Well, this is not like a horsefly or whatever. I think those like larger horseflies, I think they bite you or whatever. But anyway, I'm talking about the regular, common smaller housefly. And and yet when one gets into your house, it feels like your entire day is ruined. You can't read, you can't eat, you can't relax. All you can hear, all you can do is stare at that tiny buzzing jerk, plotting its demise. Or you just sit in your room or whatever, either trying to ignore it or just waiting for the right moment to strike. Just quietly listening. I'm sorry, sitting there listening and everything, listening to it buzzing around and stuff. But here's the thing. Your hatred is obviously, your hatred is 100% scientifically justified. That little guy isn't just annoying, he is a biological weapon with wings. And today we're going to break down exactly why they need to be removed from our kitchens. From our kitchens, and the natural ways that we can fight back, and why they drive us insane, and the ultimate mystery of how they can slip through a crack the size of a sesame seed, but they cannot for the life of them figure out how to fly out the wide open patio door. So let's get into it. All right, part one. So starting with the hard truth, that sandwich you were eating, that one fly that landed on it for exactly 2 seconds before you shoot it away. I need you to understand what just happened. Flies, in case you haven't noticed, flies don't have teeth. They can't chew. So when a fly lands on solid food, it performs what scientists politely call extraoral digestion. That means the fly vomits digestive juices directly onto your food, and then it waits for that acid to turn your bread into a liquid slurry, and then it uses its sponge-like mouth paths to slurp it up. That's how flies. That's how they eat. That's how they consume stuff. But wait, it gets worse. Flies, defecate constantly. Like every 4 to 5 minutes, wherever they walk, they leave a trail of fecal matter. So that fly that just walked across your countertop, it wiped its feet. I'm sorry, it wiped its feet in rotten garbage. It wiped its feet in rotten garbage, landed on dog poop outside, and then walked on your cutting board. They carry over 100 different types of pathogens: salmonella, E. coli, shigella, you name it. They pick up these germs on the sticky hairs of their legs, of their legs and bodies. They aren't just gross; they are active disease vectors. And now you see why me and like a bunch of other people want to like get rid of these things completely. Um, Removing them from indoor spaces isn't about aesthetics; it's a public health necessity. So you aren't a killer for swatting one inside your kitchen. You are basically a hero without a hazmat suit. All right. Getting into, I guess, like green warfare. Now, if you don't want to, fill your kitchen with toxic chemicals. You don't have to, obviously. Mother Nature has some healthy substitutes that work just as well for us. I guess I'm like keeping them away. Um, First is essential oils. Flies have sensitivity receptors on their antennae, and they hate certain smells. So basically, basil, lavender, peppermint, eucalyptus are basically kryptonite for them. And plant them near your doorways, or put a few drops of essential oil on cotton balls by your windows. It basically acts like an invisible force field to them. And for a cheap pesticide-free death trap, take a jar, pour in some apple cider vinegar, add a drop of what was it? Dish soap, cover it with plastic wrap, and poke tiny holes in the top. The flies are they're attracted to the vinegar, and they crawl in, and the soap breaks the surface tension, so they sink. So it's basically a graveyard in a jar, and you didn't poison a single thing. So that's one way. Getting into the ecological substitutes, if we do like succeed with getting rid of all of them, there's obviously the thing of the aspect of feeding the predators, is that they eat them to survive. So here's where we need to pump the brakes and stuff. I know I obviously said exterminate earlier, and I need to correct myself, because if we actively wipe out every single fly on the planet Earth, we would cause an ecological collapse. So basically, flies are the fast food of the animal kingdom. They are a critical food source for thousands of species. So if you're killing flies indoors, that's fine. But what about the critters outside that rely on them to survive? We obviously need to create healthy substitutes for them. So substitute one for spiders and praying mantises. These ambush predators don't care what flies into their web, they just need protein. If fly populations drop, you can support them by planting native flowering shrubs that attract other soft-bodied insects like aphids, moths, and leafhoppers. A diverse garden is a buffet. So obviously, they don't need to rely on one menu item. All right, substitute two for birds, such as swallows, warblers, and chickadees. A single swallow can eat 60 flies in an hour, but they also love caddisflies, mayflies, and mosquitoes. To give them an alternate food source, you can install a small water fountain, a small water feature on a pond. Clean, moving water attracts aquatic insects that hatch into perfect bird snacks. You aren't taking away their meal; you're just giving them a bigger menu. All right, substitute three for bats more specifically. Obviously, bats are nocturnal fly eaters, and one little brown bat can eat 1,000 mosquito-sized insects in a single night. If flies are scarce, bats will happily switch to beetles and moths. So how do you help them? Install a bat house and turn off unnecessary outdoor lights at night. Light pollution messes with their hunting. Dark skies mean more moths, which means full bat bellies. Substitute four for beneficiary insects. Remember those tiny parasitic wasps I mentioned earlier that eat fly papayi? They don't eat only flies. They also parasitize the pupae of caterpillars and beetle larvae. So if you want to keep these wasps healthy without relying on house flies, you plant dill, fennel, and yarrow in your garden. These flowers produce nectar that feeds the adult wasps, keeping them alive and hungry for pests, whether they're flies or not. All right, so the point is, kill the fly in your kitchen. Absolutely, it's a health hazard, but declare war on the entire species, no way. We don't need to exterminate flies from the planet. We just need to exclude them from, our plates and everything, provide healthy substitutes for their predators, and the ecosystems stay balanced. You get fewer flies, and the spiders, birds, and the bats, they still get there. It's a win-win for both of us and stuff. Trying to find a happy medium in this situation. Okay, getting into the annoyance factor. Let's be real. Even if they were perfectly clean and ecologically vital, we would still want to swat them. Why? Because they are designed to annoy us. First, in case you didn't know, is the common housefly's unique flight pattern. They don't fly in straight lines. They zigzag. We've all seen a housefly. They zigzag, they loop, they stop on a dime. This isn't random, okay? This is an evolutionary defense mechanism that they've used to confuse predators like birds. And to our brains, which crave predictability, this erratic movement feels like they are mocking us. Second is the sound, the buzz. Their wings beat at about 200 beats per second. That frequency sits right in the middle of our hearing range, and neurologically it triggers irritation in us. It puts us on high alert, similar to the sound of a mosquito but without the bite. It's a constant reminder that something is invading your personal space, or like it's coming into your personal space, because sometimes when you don't when a fly has infiltrated your house but you don't know it yet, and then you hear the buzzing faintly off in the distance and everything, that's basically what it is. And also, why do they always land on your face? It's because they are attracted to the natural carbon dioxide that we exhale, the moisture in our eyes, and the salt in our sweat. So they aren't being careless. They are hunting. Having a creature land on your face, specifically to drink your sweat, is objectively offensive. It's personal and everything. So yeah, in case you were wondering how they're always able to find us, it's mostly them being drawn to the natural carbon dioxide that we breathe out. We breathe in and breathe out and everything. In case you don't believe me, the next time that there's a common housefly that's infiltrated your house, breathe in and then breathe out as much as you can and everything, and I guarantee you that common housefly will fly right through that cloud of carbon dioxide that you just breathed out and stuff. All right, getting into the Great Escape paradox, the factor of the common housefly that just absolutely irritates the hell out of us. All right, and bringing it into the ultimate question: how does this precision flying machine find its way through a microscopic crack in your screen, but then spend literal 3 hours committing suicide by window pane? All right, let's unpack the paradox. When a fly is outside, it uses positive photoaxis. It flies toward light. So when it sees the bright light coming through your window, it zooms in. Great. Infiltration successful. But now it's trapped. It sees the same bright light from inside and flies toward it. So why doesn't it escape? Because flies don't understand transparent solids. They're tiny brains, which have about 100,000 neurons compared to our 86 billion. They can't process that the glass is a barrier. They see the light and they expect a clear path, which is why you see them. The sunlight's coming in and everything. You see them constantly hitting and banging off of the window panel, the window panel and everything. That's why. So. And here's the killer detail. In nature, to escape a cave or a hollow tree, they fly upwards toward the sky. Your windows open horizontally or slide side to side. The fly's ancient genetic code tells it to go up, not sideways. It will literally exhaust itself to death trying to fly through the top 2 inches of the glass, completely ignoring the massive open gap at the bottom. Here's the pro tip to outsmart them. If you want to fly to leave, Don't open the window. Don't open the window wide. Open it. Just crack it open, basically. Then basically turn off every light inside the room. Now that the window looks like a dark hole against a bright sunny sky, the fly's brain recalibrates, and boom, it zips straight out. You didn't kill it. You just hacked its outdated software. Um, and also like another way that you can if you like don't want the fly to get out, you you want to be malicious or whatever, you want to kill it or whatever. um I believe if you spray a fly with like a good amount of water and everything, it will render its wings wet and inoperable and everything, so it can't fly around and stuff. And then it'll just be struggling to fly around on the ground and everything. That's when you can get rid of it and everything. That's another way you can get rid of them. All right, getting into the conclusion. The takeaway here: the common housefly is a master infiltrator because it follows heat, carbon dioxide, and the scent of your lunch. It's a filthy, disease-carrying menace that needs to be removed from your kitchen for the sake of your health. But it is also a vital link in the food chain. So don't try to wipe them off the planet. Just kick them out of your house, or, and try to keep them from getting in and stuff as well. Given their predators healthy substitutes, use natural repellents, and when you find one buzzing against your window, take a moment to feel a sliver of pity. It's it's not stupid. Okay, I personally thought that flies were stupid and everything, but after like looking up stuff for this video and everything, it's not stupid. It's just glitching. All right, it's just running on the code that it has in its brain right now. So anyway, thanks for watching. No, go make sure you close your windows and stuff, and plant some basil for the birds, and for goodness sake, cover your sandwiches and stuff. Anyway, thank you. We'll see you in the next one.